All right, let's go ahead and get ahead of this and deal with this out the gate. So for those of you that understand this already, cool. Maybe you can skip past this a little bit. But for those of you that have maybe a notion that there's some redundancies between enterprise risk management and internal audit, let me deal with that right out the gate. Enterprise risk management in and of itself is a management function. Management makes decisions about the risks that the organization is going to take within the context of the risk appetites and risk tolerances set by the organization's board of directors. Okay. So again, an organization, a financial institution, goes about deciding what risks it will take and avoid based on the risk appetite and risk tolerances described by its board of directors in its governance process. And we're going to get in depth around risk appetite and risk tolerances, okay? But let's just for argument's sake, let's just go ahead and continue along. All right, so once the board of directors sets a risk appetite and risk tolerance, then it's incumbent upon management to put controls in place from an operational standpoint to ensure that each level of the organizational chart, each business unit stays within those parameters, okay? Internal audit's responsibility, all it really is just test those controls independently and make sure, right, that management is staying within those agreed upon tolerance levels and guidelines. So for example, if from a risk appetite standpoint, the board of directors says, hey, we only want to do X amount of commercial real estate or commercial real estate loans, okay? And so per their policy, all risk appetite is the verbal expression, all policy is the verbal expression of your board of directors' risk appetite. Okay, simply put, it's the written expression of your board's appetite for risk. So your board might say, okay, well, commercial real estate makes us a little bit uncomfortable. Of our total loan portfolio, we don't want it to be more than 35%. Okay, put that in policy. Now internal audit comes along, reviews the policy, looks at the commercial real estate loan balances, tests them, make sure everything is aggregated and put in the right buckets and in the right categories, right? And then goes back independently, tells the audit committee or supervisory committee and says, hey, we're in compliance or we're not in compliance. And so they're inherently different in that risk management is a forward-looking and concurrent decision-making process, okay? Internal audit is all about testing controls over the policies that you've put in place. That's the key difference, okay? All right, so to further drive home this particular point, I have a diagram here that outlines the core roles of an internal audit function, things that are permissible, and then the roles that an internal audit should not undertake. The actual picture to this PDF for this diagram will be included in the job aids of this particular module, okay? But I'm gonna enlarge this and work through it so that you can see each area of it. I'm not gonna go through each. I guess is this a Venn diagram? I don't know. I'm not going to go through each one, but I'm going to highlight some, and then you can go into the job aids to see the entire component. We have the core roles of internal audit, specifically giving assurance that control systems are effective, as we mentioned earlier, giving assurance that risk management processes are working properly, evaluating risk management processes, evaluating the reporting of material risks, and reviewing management of those risks. Those are some of the core roles of internal audit. Now let's look at some of the areas that internal audit shouldn't delve into. Okay, here, starting from top to bottom, the roles that internal audit should not undertake in an organization. Number one, should not be setting the risk appetite. Risk appetite setting should happen at the board level. They should not be imposing risk management processes. Now, internal auditors can make recommendations, but you can't force the management team to do something specifically the way you want to do it, okay? Managing risks on behalf of management. Like, for example, being in charge of business continuity, being in charge of the appraisal review process. These are all management functions that are controls that internal audit must remain independent of in order to fulfill their core role successfully. Now, before I move on, I want to address something that can come up from time to time. A question that I get a lot, especially at conferences, is whether or not internal audit should report to enterprise risk management. I'm of the opinion, and there's no specific guidance around this, but I'm of the opinion that internal audit should not report to enterprise risk management. And that's administratively or functionally. It's more important that they don't report to enterprise risk management functionally because internal audit eventually should be auditing your enterprise risk management function because it's a management function. And it's a component of your risk control apparatus, and it needs to be tested, okay? Oftentimes, as a means to save money or to do things fast, you know, a CEO or someone might say, well, just have them report to ERM. No, let's not do that. You need to keep those lines separate, all right?